examine another more significant, important type of tahrif or distortion that is in question, and this is where we have most of the ahadith about. So this type of tahrif is the fifth type that we examined, and that's the omission. Omitting or deleting verses or words or even chapters from the Holy Quran. We have many sources from Sunni books which claim or purport, Assalamu alaikum, that this type of tahrif did happen. I'll share with you some sources. You know, it's interesting, as I mentioned in the beginning, today you will find them making this accusation against the Shia that this is a Shia belief when it's found in their own books and they don't talk about it. So we find numerous Sunni sources claiming that certain verses were omitted from the Quran or they got dropped from the Quran. The verse of stoning. Bukhari tells us that there was a verse in the Holy Quran which was called the verse of stoning. Now, in the Quran, we don't have a verse that talks about stoning the adulterer, the one who commits adultery. The Quran prescribes the punishment of flogging, the jald, to the one who commits adultery, or more specifically for fornication, zina in Arabic. It does not mention stoning. So according to Bukhari, however, Omar ibn al-Khattab believed that there was a verse specifically mentioning stoning in the Quran, but it was left out from the Quran when the Quran was being gathered and collected. I'll read to you the hadith itself in Bukhari. Supposedly Ibn Abbas narrates this. Ibn Abbas narrated that Umar said, "Now then, I am going to tell you something which God has written for me to say. I do not know, perhaps it portends my death. So whoever understands and remembers it must narrate it to the others wherever his mount takes him. But if somebody is afraid that he does not understand it, then it is unlawful for him to tell lies about me." So he's very passionate about this verse, that, you know, be brave and courageous and tell this to other generations. Then he goes on to say, God sent Muhammad with the truth and revealed the holy book to him. And amongst what God revealed was the verse of the rajm, stoning. And we did recite this verse and understood it and memorized it. Omar is making this claim. God's apostle did carry out the punishment of stoning, and so did we after him. Many, many claims in this hadith, that there was a verse about it, and the Prophet actually did that, and we did that after him. So there is a hadith in Bukhari, which many of them consider a Sahih book, that has this hadith. There was a verse, but it got omitted. This is a type of tahrif. This is a type of distortion in the Quran in their own books. So Bukhari and Muslim both agree there was actually a verse called Ayatul Rajm. They've even mentioned the verse, what it actually said. They claim it was in Surah Al-Ahzab, somewhere in Surah Al-Ahzab, and this is how it read. الشيخ والشيخة إذا زنيا فرجموهما البتة نكالا من الله والله عزيز حكيم. The old man and the old woman, if they commit adultery, then you have to indeed stone them. And this is the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here clearly these sources purport that this type of tahrif did take place in the Quran. That's example number one. Another example in Bukhari narrates this. Omar claims that we used to read in God's book. These are his quotes. O people, do not claim to be the offspring of other than your fathers. And it is disbelief on your part that you claim to be the offspring of other than your real father. He claimed this was a verse in the Holy Quran. Muslim, Sahih Muslim narrates very disturbing hadiths that some companions believed entire chapters were omitted from the Quran. Entire surahs. And they went missing and they were forgotten. Very disturbing. You can refer to the book of Muslim about this. Muslim also narrates another hadith from Aisha. She, according to this hadith, claimed that the Holy Quran originally during the Prophet's time specified how many sucklings will give you that, mahramiyya relationship. Because in Islamic law, if a mother breastfeeds a child so many times, right, for a certain amount of duration, then that child becomes the nursing child. So if in the future he wants to, for example, marry her or marry any of her daughters, if he's a boy, for example, it's haram. You just become like her son, and her children become like his siblings. We call this akh min al-rida'a, ukhut min al-rida'a, min al-rida'a. And there are Islamic rights when it comes to this. So Aisha claims that initially the Quran had a verse that specified 10 breastfeedings in order for this to happen. Then God reduced it to 5. And the verse that was existing during the time of the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the number 5. Aisha supposedly said this. Now, what do you think happened to this verse? Okay, where is it? So people just forget it. Where was it written? Then it was claimed, go to the book of Muslim, that a wayward goat at the time of the passing of the Prophet ﷺ ate the leaves on which that verse was written. It was consumed by that goat, and so it got lost and it never made its way to the Quran because some goat ate the verses of God. That's Muslim, by the way. Sahih Muslim. Sahih Muslim, right? What kind of a religion is this? God is going to allow a goat to eat his verses? And Allah says, I've protected the Quran, I've revealed the Quran, and I protect the Quran. Very strange. And yet today, what is the common accusation? Oh, the Shias believe in tahrif al-Quran. They believe in the distortion of the Quran. So, we have a number of sources in these books about, the issue of tahrif al-Quran. This is Sunni sources. Now you could argue, wait a minute. Start with your own school of thought. We have, hadiths in the book of Kafi, the Kafi, right? Do you have a book more authentic than Kafi? We don't consider it Sahih, but it's our most authentic book compared to the other books. There are verses, traditions in Kafi that claim that tahrif al-Quran did happen. So what do we do about that? There is one hadith in the book of Kafi, as an example, from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He states that no one has the Quran in the manner in which it was revealed. Only Imam Ali alayhi salam and the Imams of Ahlul Bayt have the Quran, possess the Quran in the manner in which it was revealed. So this is used as an argument to state that, see, this hadith is clearly saying that changes have been made to the Quran. That original Quran which the Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib had and the Imams, people no longer have that. Only the Imams have that original Quran. Because Imam Sadiq says, no one today has the Quran how it was revealed. So that means changes have been made to it. Our response to this, what is our response to that? This hadith does not necessarily mean that the Quran has been changed. If we carefully examine the text of this hadith, it seems to indicate that no one has the full knowledge of the Quran, how it was revealed to the Prophet. No one has the full interpretation and the tafsir and asbab al-nuzul of the Quran, how it was revealed on the Prophet. This knowledge is a knowledge that only Ahlul Bayt have. So this hadith is perfectly compatible with this possibility. So we cannot use this hadith and say this hadith is a clear indication that the Quran has been changed. No, it has a more possible meaning in which the Imam ﷺ is making the point that we have the full meaning of the Quran as it was revealed, when it was revealed by Jibreel on the Prophet ﷺ. So honestly, this is not proof that there is distortion in the Quran from our books. We dismiss that as proof. We consider proof something that's clearly stating that, and this is not one of those statements that clearly state that. Okay, there's another hadith that they talk about in Bukhari, another hadith in the book of Kafi, another hadith from the Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. In this hadith, the Imam states the Quran that Jibreel brought down on the Prophet had 17,000 verses. This is in Kafi. What do we do with this hadith? So clearly, how many verses have been omitted? Like 11,000 something, 10,000 something, because we have 6,000 or so verses. So if the original Quran had 17,000 verses, that means this hadith in Kafi is claiming what? Like 2/3 of the Quran got lost. It was omitted. So this is a type of tahrif. This is a type of distortion of the Quran because it's a type of omission in the Holy Quran. How do we respond to that? One response is this. If we look at the versions of Kafi, because the book of Kafi throughout history was, how was it reproduced? Through scribes. You had people who would handwrite it. They didn't have copy machines, right? So if we look at the version of Al-Fayd Al-Kashani, a very reputable scholar, he had a version of the copy which was an authentic version that was passed down to him from reliable scholars and narrators. In his version of the book of Kafi, the hadith does not say 17,000. It says 7,000. This word ashra is not found there. So many scholars are saying the version, the edition of Al-Fayd Al-Kashani is more accurate than other versions. And so it seems scribes who wrote the other versions, they mistakenly added this word, or maybe purposely one of them added it. We don't know. So it's not proven to us that we do have a hadith like that in our book, which says 17,000, because there's a discrepancy between the versions. And one sahih version of the book of Kafi that was owned by carried by Al-Fayd Al-Kashani says 7,000. Okay. The second argument or objection here. Okay, even 7,000. The Quran is how many verses? 6,236, right? So that means we've got about 700 verses that were omitted. Response to that. If you look at the Arabic language, any number that deals with 7, 70, 700, 7,000 is what? Is not to be taken literal. What does it signify in Arabic? Kathra, a lot. Numerous. In Arabic, if you want to threaten someone, you say 70 times. You don't mean it literally. Even the Quran uses it. Allah says if they come to you 70 times and you do istighfar for them, those hypocrites, Allah will not forgive them. Allah doesn't mean literally 70. No. This is to be taken symbolic because Arabs use the number 7 to say something that is a lot. So according to this hadith, if the Imam really said it, the Imam meant that when Jibreel came down on the Prophet, there were many verses. He was rounding to a number that Arabs would commonly use. So we don't take it literally like 700. It means about 7,000. And why did he use 7? Because that's a common number Arabs would use. So the Imam isn't giving you the exact number of the verses. He's just giving you an Arabic estimate of it. Yes, brother.
I heard pretty recently that whenever you see like in Quran or in Hadith, it might not have been in this class, but if you see 70, then that's like, the decimal places of how much the reward is. So 2 digits. If it's 700, it's 3 digits. It's just basically to show that, okay, it's, if it's 7,000, then
the great amount of reward.
Right. So like, I don't know exactly what it is, but every deed, for example, is multiplied
by 700. Yes, the Quran does say that. If you do a hasana, Allah will multiply that into 700.
Or in Ramadan, like everything is multiplied by 7,000.
Correct.
So that would be like, the multiplying factor could be 7,000, could be 8,000, could be 9,000. That's how much Allah multiplies.
Exactly. So you get the idea with the number 7. Generally speaking, it's not to be taken literally, especially when you're dealing with these big numbers. So given this possibility, we cannot argue that this hadith is clear proof for the tahrif of the Quran and that so many verses went missing. That's not proof. There are some other hadiths we'll examine and some other types of tahrif and distortions. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.